Welcome everyone. Hope you all are having a great day. This is my quick review of the Drake Cutter, and it's mainly for those of you who are looking to get into Star Citizen and have a great all-around ship that can do some light combat, some small freight, some delivery missions, bunker missions. This video is mainly for you. I started off in the Aurora MR, and back in November at IAE, Drake released the Cutter, and I switched right away. The Aurora is a great ship, don't get me wrong. I have a review of that as well. If you'd like, you could check that out. But this ship is your typical Drake ship. It's got that rugged look to it. It's got the huge thrusters on the sides of it. And but the detail that kind of went into this is a total Drake move, with everything being exposed, welds to components for easy access and quick repairs for future game loops when that is released. So let's go ahead and take a look. So this is your cargo hold. You got plenty of room in here. I love how all the components have their own little storage spot, and it's big enough to fit like an extra storage box there if you want it. And then this little spot I found awesome. It's like a perfect little spot for a little container that you can keep stuff in if you really want to. It's kind of tucked away, doesn't get in the way of the floor. I ended up putting that storage box in. This is your living quarters. You get a bed, you get a bathroom, but this is like a typical Drake thing. Like, just everything's exposed, wires. It doesn't matter, and I really like it. It appeals to me. I feel like this is something that if we had this now, like in the future, this is kind of like what we would start off in. It's got a self-storage as well. Go ahead and get into the flight deck. It has a nice flight deck. It's got weapon racks. It's got the new weapon rack there for like your railgun or missile launcher. It's very spacious, tall. It's got another little compartment here that's tucked away, and I keep food and drinks in here. Perfect little spot for it. Let's go ahead and take a seat. You get lifted up, which is kind of nice. You got a nice view of everything on the outside. These things close in, I'm guessing, for when Pyro is released, and maybe with the solar flares. Kind of get some protection there. It's kind of my thought behind it. Not really 100% sure on that, but it's kind of cool. Yeah, that's a turtle. That's my buddy Tank. Tank the turtle. He comes everywhere with me. He's my bunker running partner. The sound effects of this ship are really cool. It has some pretty unique sounds that it gives off, and it's very maneuverable for what it looks like. Its looks are very deceiving.
Thank you, and please visit again.
I also wanted to show its handling, kind of handling, I guess, but mainly its speed in atmosphere. This is over at Area 18. So we're going to head over to Walla, and we're going to go ahead and pick up some vehicles. I'm going to show you guys the biggest vehicle that can fit in here, all the way to the smallest vehicle that can fit in here. And the vehicles, wheeled vehicles, are great for bunkers, especially mainly for hostile bunkers, where you need to land out and away from the bunker, and instead of walking, you can hop in a vehicle and take it out. So the cutter, which beats the Aurora, in my opinion, and even the Avenger, it can fit vehicles back there that you can take into bunkers. So I was actually very surprised that the mule can actually fit inside of the cutter. But as you'll see here in a second, it does fit and it fits in clean, but it's up to you on whether or not you want to deal with having to move it every time you want to leave the cutter, since the cutter only has one way to get into the ship. But I definitely thought it was very cool that the mule can actually fit in here. Just too bad it's just not, I don't know, maybe a foot or two wider, just to kind of be able to walk around it. Otherwise, the mule would actually be awesome to run bunkers with, because you can stack storage containers on the side of it. So this is the PTV. As you can see, we now can open the storage just from trying to get into the vehicle, which is kind of cool. We can't really store too much onto the PTV. You can probably fit a couple guns on there. But if you're a beginner, you can't really complain, because all you have is a cutter, so you're going to work your way up to a bigger ship that can fit in a bigger vehicle. But the PTV is going to be the smallest vehicle that you can fit inside of the cutter. And this little thing is really fun. This is my first time ever driving a PTV or ever even buying the PTV. I kind of spent a little bit of time just driving around, just trying to get used to it. And it was actually quite surprising on how fun I had in this thing. But it does fit in here perfectly, right? You can walk on either side of it. You can even push that storage container up against the wall and still fit the PTV inside of the cargo hold, which is great. Now maybe you're also wondering why I have a storage container in here. So in the cutter, you can't really store too many items inside of your ship, inside the stealth storage. So when you're doing bunkers, you can actually take that box inside with you and store a ton of things inside there. And then put it back onto your ship and take off and take it to a station and unload it. But when you're doing hostile bunkers, you obviously can't take that with you unless you get a cyclone, but you're also going to need a bigger ship to be able to carry that cyclone. A nice, clean, perfect fit with plenty of room. This is the Grey Cat STV, or the Steve. This thing's really cool too. I've never owned this in game before. I think I've only driven it one time. I wasn't too familiar with the outside of it, so bear with me, I guess. But I knew it could open up, just wasn't sure how to do it right off the rip. But I did notice it had gun racks on the sides, on the passenger and the driver's side, which was really cool. This is what I've been using for bunkers, and it's been working great so far. I may switch back and go back with the PTV, and we'll see. The cool thing about the Steve is on the back side, you can open up the trunk for your self-storage, which is the vehicle inventory, but then you can also add in 2 storage containers inside there. It's the smaller, I think it's the 1 SCU storage containers. I thought this little feature was really cool. So I didn't have extra boxes on me, but I did have this one. So I could only put 1 in there currently. But I thought this was a really cool thing that they added. And very useful. So when you're loading the Steve inside of your cargo hold, you want to get it up as close to that port side as possible. This will allow room for you to walk and be able to close the door and then walk to your pilot seat. Unfortunately, the cutter only has a one-way in, and it's really the only way to do it if you're going to use the Steve. It's honestly a perfect fit. It fits perfectly in here. Like I mentioned earlier, I had to move that storage box in order to get the Steve in, so I decided to put it there. It was out of the way. The cutter really is a cool ship. It's not the prettiest ship, but it's a very unique ship, and I really enjoy it. And maybe you will too. I get that it's not for everyone, and that's okay. But maybe it's for you. You decide, and you let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and that it helps you decide on a ship if you're looking. Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.